Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your models will practically build themselves. Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Today, we are going to go to West High School. I know you guys graduated a long time ago. You don't need to go back to high school, but you know what? West High has been around for a very long time. In fact, the building itself, well, it's coming up on its 100th anniversary pretty quick. You know, I wonder what it looked like back in those days when it first started out. And I think I have some pictures in my files. So let's go take a look. Let's look at the origins of West High School in Salt Lake City.
The earliest picture I could find of the area was about 1882. It looks like this is the groundbreaking for the university. And this eventually became the University of Utah, but before then it was like Deseret University. I want you to pay particular attention to the building that is on the right side, kind of in the background. This will help us to show exactly where this picture was taken. So the building in the background is the Nicholas Grossberg home, and it sat right on the corner of what is now 200 North and 300 West. And where this carriage is, that would be 300 West currently. It was so many different things. I don't want to go through the list of all the different things it was, but it was built by this gentleman named Nicholas Grossberg. Anyway, to kind of help pinpoint where exactly these areas are that we're talking about, look in the background of this picture. On the right-hand side of this picture, you can see the 1921 version of West High School, but there is the old Nicholas Grossberg home there in the background. By this point in time, it was like a sewing company or sewing classes or something like that. Anyway, wow, that really helps identify that whole groundbreaking and it puts it more in perspective. Start with the origins of Salt Lake High School. And this particular picture is right after the building was built in 1883. Salt Lake High School was first organized and opened September 1st of 1890 in what was called the Fremont School Building. By 1892, the Fremont became too small for the number of students, and the school was moved to a building in the Clayton Block on State Street, where it remained for 5 years. In 1897, the school moved to the old National Guard Armory that was on Pierpont Avenue, where it remained until the fall of 1901 when it was destroyed by a fire. Governor Wells, at the time, offered the free use of the vacant University of Deseret buildings that were on First North and Second West, which is now Second North and Third West. Anyway, the current site of the West High School campus. The board later purchased the site from the state of Utah. The building that West High School occupied in the beginning of 1902 had previously been the main building. And you can see it here in this picture, the old main building for the university. It having been constructed in 1884 and was a 17,000 square foot structure, which I think was magnificent looking. In 1912, due to the increased enrollment from the east side of the city, the high school was separated and the East High School moved into what was called the 11th Ward School, which was Bryant, and student population increased and the old university had grown obsolete. So in July of 1921, contracts were let for construction of a 3-story fireproof building. The old building was torn down and the new building was completed in September of 1922. And you can see the old main building here, just what a grand building this particular thing was. But the University of Deseret was only there till about, 1899, 1900, when they moved up to officers, or I should say University Circle, up on the east side of Salt Lake. Well, this particular picture, taken across the street to the south, shows the building right before it was to come down. This was taken in 1921, and this was probably taken from the property that was owned by Joseph F. Smith. And you can see here the building is already being dismantled here in 1921. Such a grand building. I wish that it had actually been restored. But anyway, this picture taken in 1917. This was in the yearbook at West High School, and you can see the gym that was constructed during that time. And behind that, you can see what was called the old Union Building, which was, I think, an 1889 addition. So originally, West High School was several buildings put into the school. So here is the original gymnasium. This gym was actually constructed in 1906 and opened in 1907. And the building contained 2 gymnasiums with shower and locker facilities, a supply room, and instructor's office. It was built at a cost of $43,000 at the time. And it was used until the summer of 1950 when it was torn down to make room for a larger gymnasium. And here's another view of it from across, I guess 200 North is what you'd call it now. Just kind of a neat looking little gym building. Anyway, here's another picture of it. This looks like it was, well, sometime after construction anyway. Here's the interior, and this photo is credited to the Utah State Historical Society. And this shows the one of the locker rooms. Wow, look at those wooden benches. Imagine that. And the gymnasium itself with the wood floor. And you can see the windows there. Pretty beautiful building in my estimation. But anyway, it was too small and eventually torn down. So another part of the complex here was just to the west of that was what they called the Union Building. And that was built in 1889. This building was 20,500 square feet. And it was known as the commercial building for the university when the university used it up until 1901. Anyway, it was also used as an elementary school during the time of about 1902 through 1910. But due to ever-increasing enrollment at West, the Union Building became an integral part of the West High's campus until the construction of the Library Media Wing in 1971. So this building was around for quite some time. Here's a great picture of the interior of the building during one of the many renovations that it had over the years. And keep in mind that all of these 4 buildings for the original campus were interconnected with heating tunnels. Here's a great picture from, it appears to be the mid-1960s, where you can see the technical building just off to the left, and you can see the 1921 main building of, 1922 main building off to the right-hand side. And this is probably the last picture that I have of the Union Building, taken in what had to be the late 60s. Again, it was used till the early 1970s and was torn down shortly after, well, I guess about 72, 73. So, but a great picture. You can see the 1950 gym there off to the left-hand side in this picture. I absolutely love this picture. So another part of the original complex was actually across the street. And this particular building was built in 1889 as part of the university. It was the Science Building. And eventually, in 1920, the Salt Lake City School District picked it up, purchased it, and began to remodel it and use it as a junior high school, known as West Junior High. And then by 1933, it was known as Horace Mann Junior High. So it had several different incarnations. But here it is. This is the west-facing side of the old Science Building. And this is where the soccer field currently sits at West High School on about 250 West and 200 North on the south side of what used to be the street. And like I said, now it's a soccer field. Anyway, you can see the old building here was being renovated in 1920. And in addition, well, sorry, this was a little bit later. This was the late 1920s. And it was being renovated, and this addition to the west side was connected And of course, you have, well, what we all older folks here in the valley used to know as Horace Mann Junior High. So here's where the parade field was for the ROTC, just north of the old building, and the tech building, the old tech building built in 1912 there, right on 400 West. Wow, what a grand structure that was. And inside you had the old auto shop. Yeah, they had auto shop back in those days, folks. Here it is right after it was built in 1912. So thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for part 2 of West High School coming up soon.